Hey everyone. So today I'm gonna dive pretty deep, I think. Kind of got my mind blown, so I'm gonna share it with you guys. Where to start? So when I started out on my journey to spirituality and really finding God and just letting Him guide my life, I was a hurting soldier. I was a single mom. I was not knowing how I was going to feed my kids. I was really miserable, absolutely miserable. And the negativity and all of that stuff. And I speak about it in my book. But anyway, as I went on my journey and began to learn some of the ways of pulling myself out of that and being able to be more positive and see my life shift, things began to happen. I was working in a mailroom and I went back to college. I got my degree and I became an engineer, and steadily, over the years, my pay's gone up. I've been able to buy homes. I've, done all these things. I had set goals for myself. I wanted to make over $100,000 a year, blah, 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 blah. Things that I thought at the time were important because that's what my parents had taught me, right? You got to get a job. You got to be, whatever. My dad was a pharmacist. He worked really hard to get to where he was, but he liked his bunny and he liked his toys. And I was with my mom, who was an alcoholic, and we didn't have money. And the stories I heard were that, your dad doesn't want to pay for you and blah, 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 which wasn't true. It wasn't true. But anyway, that's, kind of how I grew up. So I had this poverty mindset. And even though I had one parent who had a ton of money and one who was just killing herself, I kind of got a mix of both, which was a good thing. And I don't blame my parents for anything. I love my parents, and what they taught me was how to be a strong bitch in this world, okay? So there I am. But I got to a point where I was like, well, what do I want now? What do I want? I kind of got everything that I set out to do. So I kind of gave it over to God, and I said, lead me. Where do you want me to go? And it's been a journey of really trusting. And I've talked about faith and how important faith is, and I will continue to talk about that because it is super important, because you're not going to get where you want to go in this world without Him and without faith. So anyway, I'm in the shower, and I don't know about you guys, but my best shit comes to me in the shower. And so I'm getting out, and I'm like, God, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. What do you got for me? And He's like, shut up and listen. And I'm like, okay. And then He gave me Ernest Holmes' book, The Science of Mind. And I'm like, dude, that one's really deep. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have read that book, but it's pretty deep. And I'm looking through it on my Kindle, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if I could talk about this. Like, this is just, it's very deep. Anyway, I love it. I think that if you read it, you can never look at life or thoughts the same again. It's life-changing. But it's pretty deep. And so anyway, I'm looking through the book, and I'm like, what part am I going to talk about? And I see Matthew 5:18. And I'm like, okay. So I open my Bible app and I look, and it's Matthew 5. It's the Sermon on the Mount. Guess what I was listening to last night on YouTube? A video about the Sermon on the Mount. Okay, so where does Kelly go with this? So I'm going to put that video in the comments below too. I think that it's a great rendition, someone's view on the Sermon on the Mount and what Jesus was speaking about, why it's important. I want to be able to do whatever God wants me to do, and He wants me to teach. So here I am. Never thought I'd be talking about God on video to people wherever you are watching it. Not what I had planned in my mind, but I'm good with it. And I love what He did, because there's parts in there about teaching, and Jesus was teaching. And He was teaching some really valuable lessons in the Sermon on the Mount. And they're very difficult to just read and understand. You really need to be able to like I was guided last night to have somebody kind of break it down in their own view, which I love. I love listening to different people's breakdowns and views on the Bible. It's just amazing that you can get so much insight out of it. But basically what I'm thinking is the crap that we're going through right now in this world. And I was on a phone call last night with a few people, and I ended up having to hang up because I had a hard boundary. I asked, don't talk about this, and they went there again, and they're screaming, and I love them. And I do. I love you if you're watching. I had to hang up. I couldn't do it. It's not where I wanted to be. It's not where I wanted to be. I did not want to go there. And they went there. So, gone. I still love them. It is what it is. Everybody's got their view, okay, on everything. But when you take it just a little bit deeper to survive what we're about to go through in the next few months, and I get that you probably know what I'm talking about, and I don't like talking about it because it's difficult. Everybody's got an opinion, right? And we know what that saying is. But it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of influence coming at us, and that's not what God wants, and that's what Jesus was teaching in the Sermon on the Mount. We need to live the way that he set those laws up to be in peace and have the love in our lives that we desire, okay? So how you get there, I don't know. Maybe by listening to a bunch of stuff the way I did. I read all the time. I listen all the time. My son was funny. He said, oh, Ma, God's on YouTube. I'm like, in so many words, yes, God's on YouTube. But really being able to kind of follow that instead of popping in on your TV and listening to the shit that they're putting in your head, because, ugh. Anyway, 18 was the one that I landed on, but then I looked at 19. And therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commands and teaches others accordingly will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. It's more important now than ever to get right with Jesus, what Jesus taught, and to get through this time that we're in, to make the right decisions to live in peace and love. And that is my message for today. I'll put that video in the comments, as I said. If you can pop it on tonight with your headphones or whatever, I think it's about an hour. It is someone's opinion of what Jesus said, but it's a good one, I think. And really, let's try to remember the laws that God has set for us as we move through these times in our life right now, to get through it in peace, because that is what we need. We need peace and love. And I love you guys, and I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.